extracted.
Thank you. It's always nice to know that you have the elected officials and some folks in Washington D.C. In your zone there helping out. So I thank you both very much, Congressman Wilczek.
It's been a while since we first met when you were deployed.
Yeah, no kidding. It has. So guy keeps showing up in all kinds of foreign countries and stuff. So we are pretty much at a point of which I guess we can call maturity. Which means that the protection that we are going to put in place to fight a flood at the level that's currently predicted is largely in place, and we'll finish it up tomorrow. Right now, the Weather Service, I believe, is predicting at 20.4. We always add about 2 feet to that to account for wave wash and debris strikes and things of that nature that might hit one of our levels of protection and damage it and cause a leak. And so at this time, River Drive is completely closed. Every north-south intersection between 4th, or between Federal on the east and Concord on the west is essentially closed. And so the detours are in place. We've coordinated that with the IDOT, and the River Drive berm protection is in place. The protection around Union Station, which sometimes doesn't go in because we need a flood of pushing 20 feet before we put that protection in. That's in. Modern Woodman Park, of course, is protected by the flood wall that we built several years ago. And the railroad is trying to run one more train. It should be coming through shortly. After that happens, they're going to cease operations, notify us, and then we're going to drop in the final connecting piece of the sidewalk that crosses over the railroad tracks. And so Modern Woodman Park is open for business, as is every other business in Davenport, with the single exception of the casino downtown on the river. We work very closely with the business owners, and we listen very closely to their needs. And whenever we hear that there's a need, we respond. And if it's sandbags or HESCOs or plastic or whatever it takes, we're going to do what is needed in order to keep these businesses open. That's the bedrock of our community. That's the tax-based foundation. And that's what pays all of our bills. And by golly, we're going to do that. And we do extend that same favor to any of our private property owners that are squeezed in there that believe that they have an issue. So if you need sandbags and anything else, we'll come out, we'll make a quick assessment, we'll bring that to you. And if you're not capable of putting that protection in, we'll put that protection in for you too. We take care of the citizens of Davenport and the businesses of Davenport. So it is an inconvenience, but I would say, as everybody else has said, that the detours are in place for a reason. Just because you think it's only 2 inches deep and you can drive through it, please do not. You run the risk of not only injuring yourself, but injuring others, and that's just not fair and it's not right. And so I would like to also publicly extend my thanks to the Parks Department, to Police Department, the Fire Department, and other departments. Virtually everybody is slinging sand, helping us fill sandbags and taking a part in the role of protecting the city during this time. We're still expecting a crest of late July 4th, late evening. So sometime after dinner, when your kids are out there doing the little sparkles and popping off firecrackers, that's when the river's about ready to crest. And we'll stay up for a day or so, then it will gently start to go back down. As the mayor pointed out, we've got to keep a close eye on what's happening upriver. What's happening after the Twin Cities, locks and dams 1 through 6, it's going to take a couple of weeks, about 10 days, for anything that's happening up there to come here. And the way that might work is if it is significant, and we don't know for sure right now, but if it is significant, it's going to come on the tail end of the crest passing through. The crest that we're experiencing right now is the rain event that happened last night that went into the Wapsie and Maquoketa River basins. Those river basins are supersaturated soils, which means nothing is infiltrating into the ground. It's all pure runoff. It's going straight off the streets, right into the storm sewers, right into the creeks, or right into the river, heading for the main stem Mississippi. And so that's what's heading our way. And so we expect to see that on July 4th. It will taper off on July 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, and that'll be the time at which we kind of take a look at what's coming behind us that's happening up in the Twin Cities area. So we may end up with what we call a double bump, and we'll have to keep you posted as to what that looks like. And having said all of that, I would be happy to take any of your questions.
4 floods last year, if I remember. We've kind of gotten good at this.
We fought 4 floods last year. We plowed 38 times last winter, which was, of course, a record snowfall winter for Iowa. So Public Works has been busy. In between all of that, we try to patch potholes and a few other things.
Michael, yesterday you said you were surprised a little by the flood projection that came out yesterday. Others appear to be caught off guard as well. Do you think the city could have acted any earlier than it did in their flood prevention efforts, and do you think it would have helped?
No, I don't think we could have acted any sooner. We kind of thought something was going to happen, so we were pre-staging and pre-positioning. We'd already exercised our plan. We've been in a flood mode 24/7 for over 3 weeks now, and so we were pre-positioned, but we were still shocked, like everybody else, when we went from a 16-foot event to a 22-foot event, and we did that overnight. It's like, holy cow, what happened here? Well, we all know what happened. Mother Nature turned on the skies, and we all took a bath, and it was some kind of storm. And I talked to the Bettendorf Public Works Director. He said the same thing. It's like, holy cow, where'd this come from?
Can I just say one thing on that? Is that all right?
Sure.
When Cedar Rapids got hit in 2008, remember what happened there? There was about 8 or 10 inches of rain one night. No one anticipated that. And suddenly, that went up to over 30 feet. I mean, and the record had been 22 feet. So when something happens over the course of a 12 or 24-hour period that virtually no one expects, at least at that level, it's almost impossible to predict what's going to happen. And I think that's important to keep in mind.
Absolutely.
Cost
Could you
is-
talk to us about the backflow preventers, how they're working out with the houses that have had to deal with flooding in their basements, for example? Is this program working? Have people been purchasing those and getting reimbursed for the stop valves, basically?
Yes, the program is working. Anybody who has experienced flooding in their basement, whether it's sewage or stormwater, either one, coming through their pipe system, can apply to the city's program. And I don't recall the exact numbers off the top of my head, but there's been a bunch. And so we're really glad to work with private property residents and to get into that program and help them out.
And with helping out with clearing out their basements, has that been happening in light of yesterday's storms?
No, we focus solely on the pipe system itself. Cleaning the house and things of that nature is a private insurance issue.
What's the cost of all this, Mike? We were hearing, that it costs the city a lot of money for all of this. Do we have an estimate?
Well, we're into like day 29 of the second flood, so I hesitate to throw a number out there, but it's going to be north of $250,000.
What sort of calls have you gotten from downtown or anyone else, and how many of them?
Surprisingly few, actually. We have reached out more than we have been called. We go knocking on doors and asking folks how you doing, and whether or not they're prepared and do they realize what's coming, and if they have any questions about what we're doing.